Evening, folks. Brian here. Saturday, October 5, 2024. As per request, but I was going to do it anyway because it's a theory of mine. I came up with this idea around December of 2022. I came up with the idea with an active mantle plume or super plume below the region of Australia. So mantle plumes are anchored to the outer core of our planet where our magnetic field is generated from and where changes are taking place because of the excursion. They rise up to the underside of the lithosphere to which the crust sits upon. A mantle plume tail, when it comes to the underside of the lithosphere, the mantle plume head can be thousands of kilometers in diameter. It is my idea that it has branches, arms, nodes pushing up underneath the lithosphere. As I suggested almost 2 years ago now, about 22 months ago, if correct, and as we get into the outer core expansion because of the electromagnetic connection with celestial bodies out there, this is going to become more intense. I said about 22 months ago, these are the signs that I would be watching for. Tsunami buoys on each side of Australia going into motion in the absence of earthquakes, and this has happened in the Coral Sea a few times. It has happened off of the northwest coast of Australia, entrance of the Timor Sea into Australia many a times. I then suggested we would start seeing an increase in earthquakes around the perimeter of Australia, as well as heat detections. Last October 2023, on 2 separate occasions, I did videos. You can look at my YouTube channel under volcanoes and heat anomalies. Massive spread of heat, at least 400 detection points in the waters between Australia and Indonesia. And now those earthquakes indeed have been starting up around the perimeter of Australia, and they have been increasing in magnitude. The reason why we see earthquakes not on any fracture zones is because of that push underneath the lithosphere from a mantle plume or super plume. This is why on my YouTube channel I have a separate section of the playlist, National Data Buoy Center. I watch the buoys, not for tsunamis. The buoys are anchored to the ocean floor. If there's going to be any motion on the ocean floor, inflation or subsidence, that's going to put those buoys into event mode. It can sometimes take years of observations when you propose a theory or an idea. And like I said, almost 2 years ago, that was my theory proposed. And again, you're going to start seeing earthquakes around the perimeter of Australia, working inland. If this is the crust, the oceanic plates are thinnest, on average 6 to 7 kilometers thick. Then we're going to start seeing that energy, seismic response, heat, the continental shelves, and then finally inland. That is what I believe is happening to Australia. Following that statement almost 2 years ago, I started scratching my head. I wonder where the next one's going to be. I started thinking about North America, specifically the northeast quadrant of North America. This is where we had all those fire breakouts in Quebec. Seismic activity, New York. Heat detections on the continental shelf between Massachusetts and Nova Scotia. Fires in Nova Scotia day after an earthquake in Nova Scotia, day after a heat anomaly in the Bay of Fundy, and so on. Rising magmatic heat. As it has been written in the book, there will be great earthquakes in diverse, different, many places, including in places where you wouldn't expect to have earthquakes. To answer your question about why there's an increase in earthquakes in Australia. If true, a continuance of seismic activity around Australia in frequency and magnitude.